Hi, everyone. Karen Curry Parker here. Welcome to our afternoon live. So, this is our final live for this week. We've been talking about the resiliency key of courage, and in particular, looking at courage through the lens of the spleen and the spleen center, and the we sometimes call in human design the fear gates of the spleen. We talked about the gate 48, the gate of depth. We've talked about the gate 57, the gate of intuitive knowing, that is all about knowing what you need to do to be prepared for the future. And today we're going to talk about the gate 44, which I hope I can unpack everything I have in my head about this, because this is a huge, huge gate. There's a lot of things I want to say about it. So, um, sit back, relax, grab some tea. It's going to take me a couple of minutes to unpack everything that I want to say to you today about the Gate 44 and courage. So, I actually want to back up a little bit because we've been talking about the spleen and fear and courage. And I want to just share with you something I've been thinking about because yesterday it was in my faith. It was a big holiday, Yom Kippur. It was a time when we spend the day sort of looking at religious liturgy and religious texts, and there's a lot of conversation. And I was actually raised in the Catholic Church. Is a long, long story, but it kind of doesn't matter what religion that I've been exposed to, for the at least what Judeo-Christian religion I've been exposed to. There's always a lot of talk about the fear of God, right? And we have statements around that too, like we say your mother's going to put the fear of God in you, right? And that's always been a problem for me personally. It's something that I've struggled with even when I was a kid. Like, I couldn't understand why God was scary and why I should be afraid of God when God was love. And to me, there was like this conflicting teaching about be very afraid, but God is love. And it's sort of like, ah. So I know that obviously a lot of what happens when we are looking at English translations of ancient texts of any kind, that, our language is different. The ability to translate text sometimes is challenging. I know I was actually raised bilingual. I grew up speaking German and English. There's some words in German that just don't translate to English, and vice versa. So, yesterday I was really thinking about how the fear of God, is really about awe, right? The awe of God. And, I started to think about, well, okay, how does that relate to the spleen center and the fear of spleen, the fears that we experience in the spleen? Yes, there's the real time fear, like, hey, there's something immediate that needs my attention that I got to be mindful of, because if I don't pay attention to this immediate situation, the mountain lion chasing me or a bear chasing me, then I could not be okay. I might not survive, right? That kind of fear is a fear, obviously, that we need to be mindful of, we need to pay attention to, and we need to, you know, that's fear. That's the healthy use of fear, right? But that existential complex part of being human that makes us afraid to do things like up level in our business, or elevate our self expression, or speak our truth with our partners or people we're in relationship with, or write a book. Or I'm, in my coaching program right now, we're getting ready to work on speaking platforms. And, every time we hit a new cycle of growth or a new challenge in the coach mastermind, we get behind the scenes a couple of people who are like, I'm not ready for this and I can't do this. And they start to kind of want to drop out. And we have to sort of coach them forward, because it's not really about, I don't want to be a speaker, or I don't want to do this sales process, or I don't want to. It's really about the fear, the awe, the fear of the whatever kicks up. But I don't think it's really fear. And that's the piece I really want you to sit with for a little bit. Because sometimes it's not, it's our interpretation of the feeling that feels like, oh, maybe this is fear. But what if it's not fear? What if it's awe? What if it's you being in awe of the task that you're being called forth to do? And that awe, that call of awe, really comes through the 44, the gate 44, which is a place where We are designed to intuitively sense and know the patterns of the past and to either react to those patterns of the past from fear, like, oh, I'm afraid they're going to happen again, or we interpret those patterns and we say, okay, that didn't work last time. What else can I do? That 44 energy, that awe of the 44 in its highest expression, actually calls us forth into the gate 26, which is the gate of integrity, which, when it's functioning at a high level, is a place where we really live into the full expression of our self worth. The gate 26 says, when you value yourself enough, you will be in physical integrity. You'll take care of your body and do everything you need to do to sustain your body, to nurture your body while you go through a cycle of growth and expansion. You'll stay in resource integrity, meaning you'll use your resources well, including your money, including the information that you have, your education, the knowledge that you have. You'll use those in a sustainable way. You'll stay true to your authentic identity. You'll stay in integrity with your identity. You'll be in moral integrity. You won't feel like you have to cheat in some way to get what you want, because you know you're valuable enough to allow yourself to receive what you want. And you'll stay in energetic integrity. You won't overcommit to things you can't fulfill or make promises you can't fulfill. And you'll nurture yourself in a sustainable way so that your energy stays resilient and available. When we're living in a place of high self-worth and we're in integrity, then we're better able to fulfill our purpose. And our purpose gets revealed to us in all of the gates and the channels in the will center, but in particular through the 2551, which is that bridge between our higher self in the G and the individuated human ego, if you will, in the will center. That bridge says you are an important and vital and irreplaceable part of the cosmic plan. You are a soul, right? You are this once in a lifetime cosmic event having this human story, and that individuated aspect of the divine that is you is here to do your work, live your story, be the fullest expression of who you are. But it's also in doing that, in serving that story that is yours to serve, only yours to serve, you're also fulfilling your right place in the bigger picture, in the cosmic plan. What if the fear is really awe? We look at our right place, we look at our right space, we see the magnificence of our story and what we're here to do, and we go, oh, wow, that's a breathtaking possibility. What if we interpret that as fear because we don't know how yet? Because the truth is, the how gets revealed as we go along, right? What's the point of giving us the entire instruction manual? It's a long life with a lot of working parts. What if all we have to do is be like, I am in awe of this task that is mine, and all I need to do is trust that I'll know what I'll need to know when I need to know it, which is the mantra of the spleen, right? It's the mantra of the splenic center. I'll know what I need to know when I need to know it. And we use that sense of awe, and we step into that sense of awe of who we are, and we trust that that's not fear, that's not anxiety, that's actually that zing zap excitement of alignment that's happening, that's saying, whoa, this is the right place. Prepare yourself, prepare your body to hold higher frequencies of energies, because baby, when you are aligned, you're going to amp up all of your energy, all of your frequency. You're going to be so sublimely and so perfectly aligned that you're going to radiate alignment. And it's that radiation of alignment, you and your authentic path and your authentic self, you living it fully. That's the energy that is ultimately the outcropping of your life purpose, you fulfilling your life purpose, because your life purpose is for you to be who you are. Your life purpose, when you embody that, it becomes this amplified energetic expression of alignment. And it's that energy of alignment that's actually contagious. It's you being you that is the force that changes the world. It's you're transforming your own sense of fear about who you are, and transforming your own sense of value, and moving into a more true expression of who you are that creates that frequency of alignment that ultimately inspires other people, that sets other people on fire, so to speak. So my best friend and my business partner, we co-founded Grace Point Publishing, which is the premier publishing house for leaders and teachers and creatives. Um, she says, and this is, I think, so valuable, she says, often, sometimes that thing that thing that we are the most afraid of. And again, translate that to awe in your head. That thing that you are most in awe of is usually the thing that you're supposed to be doing. And that awe, that place where we hit that really like breathtaking, like, oh, that's mine to do. And we start to backpedal away from it because immediately, as soon as we do that, if we're not healthy in our self worth, we backpedal away from it. What if that's the thing you're supposed to be doing? What if that's the actual call, right, for your right place in your right space? That was a very long way to introduce the gate 44 and a different way to think about the spleen and the importance of that splenic pulse, that maybe that pulse that we experience is not fear when we're talking about this from an existential perspective, but it's awe. And it's a signal that, you're headed in the right direction. It's big enough to take your breath away. And it's good that it takes your breath away because it's going to force you to have to take a leap of faith because you're not going to figure it out because it's bigger than you by yourself. It's cosmic, if you will. All right. On a much more mundane level, we'll bring it down a notch here. The gate 44. The gate 44, as I said, is this place where we intuitively interpret the patterns of the past. In quantum human design, we call this the gate of truth. It's truth that leads to integrity. In the shadow of this energy, we experience it sometimes as a fear of moving forward because we're afraid that the patterns of the past are going to repeat themselves. And it's a protective mechanism that keeps us locked into what I like to call protective identities. Identities that we've learned to cultivate as a way of keeping our true self safe. So let's say you've had experiences that feel traumatic to you. And in my definition of trauma is any event, experience, or perception that causes you to lose connection from your value and lose connection from your right place in the world. So when you experience that kind of trauma, and by the way, as I said before, this is not in any way downplaying any of you who may have experienced real, genuine, physical or emotional trauma. I'm not trying to in any way downplay that at all. There are different kinds of traumas or micro traumas versus macro traumas. These are micro traumas that many of us, if not all of us, have experienced on a certain level. Those micro traumas that say, that are those events, perceptions, or experiences where perhaps we've learned it's not okay for you to be who you are or how you are. And when we have those experiences enough, our body starts recording those experiences as patterns. And in fact, the brain in the hippocampus starts, recording those experiences as trauma. And so we begin to go out into the world, especially if this gate is defined in your chart, looking for those patterns as a defensive measure against being injured again, right? So we develop these protective identities that sometimes can be sort of self-sabotagey in nature that hold us back and protect us from taking those risks to step into the awe, to step into that right place, because we've been told over and over and over again, you can't do that. That's not right. That's not how you are successful. That's not what successful people do. And we buy into that story and we stop taking those bold steps forward. That gate 44, because it's a splenic gate, that fear of the past requires of us to cultivate enough courage to be willing to push through the fear, because that's the only way splenic fear gates work. The only way through them is through them. You have to push through that fear that the pattern of the past is going to repeat itself and go forward to have a different experience. But it's really essential when we're looking at, especially if you're looking at a long-term paralysis, if you will, of holding yourself back because you're afraid the past is going to repeat itself again. Sometimes before you can push through that fear, the first thing you have to do is work on your self-worth. You have to really heal those places where maybe you're out of integrity with yourself, or you're out of integrity because you don't value yourself enough and you're hiding out. So sometimes before you can push through and break free from those patterns, you have to first heal the self-worth. That and any conditioning you've had that has taught you that you're not an irreplaceable and vital part of the cosmic plan. Any place where you've learned that you're not precious, because you are precious. You are literally a once in a lifetime cosmic event. And if you've in any way learned something different, that sometimes has to heal first for you to cultivate the courage to be able to push through that gate 44, that place where we hold true to the fear that the patterns of the past might be repeating themselves. On a very different and kind of funny note, the gate 44 is associated with the sense of smell. So when we say things like, I can smell a rat, that's because there's an intuitive nature with that 44 that can really sense when things are out of alignment with integrity. So if you have this gate, you kind of have a built in BS detector. And to trust that if you're starting to feel like, something's off here and you have that gate defined, I mean, I would certainly say, even if you don't, if you're feeling like something's off, trust yourself. And certainly, I would say, if you have that gate defined, really trust yourself. And that gate 44 actually is what we call clairolfactant, meaning if you have this gate defined, you actually literally can have what I call psychic smell. So you might smell roses in the room if the energy of your grandmother is present in the room, or you might smell like cigar smoke if your grandfather passed away and you know his energy is in the room. I have a daughter who has this, and we laugh about this all the time. She's like a pregnancy sniffer. She can tell when people are pregnant way before they take a pregnancy test because they smell different to her. Or if they're sick, she can smell if they don't smell healthy. So that's just another weird, quirky fact about the gate 44. It has a sense of intuitive or psychic smelling. So I hope that gave you some things to think about in the context of the gate 44 and in the context of awe and fear and sometimes that paralysis that we have as a result of our splenic definition that holds us back. I hope I gave you some insights into how you can push through those fears and move more strongly into that place of precious expression and self expression that is you, and the beauty and the magnificence of you as the once in a lifetime cosmic event. Coming back, we'll be back here on Monday. On Monday, we'll talk about the gate 50, the gate of nurturing, and how sometimes that gate and the fear of that gate can cause us to be run and ruled by guilt. So have a great weekend, you guys. Bye.